Hello, Fearless Gamers, and welcome to another podcast here on Fearless Games. I'm Matt the Vet, and today I'm joined by...
Matt the Clown.
And hopefully later today, the Wildcard and Starklord will join us.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
See how that happens. So, how you doing?
Not bad. I've been watching a lot of Kung Fu movies the last couple of days. I watched Jet Li's Fearless and Ip Man last night. And right before you texted me to remind me of the podcast, I just started watching Ip Man 2. I'm about 10 minutes into that. I love Kung Fu movies. I mean, I've made no secret of that to you or anyone else. But for some reason, last night and today watching these movies, and they're good. Jet Li's Fearless is good. If you haven't seen it and you have Netflix, go watch it. It's good. And Ip Man is actually really, really good. As a movie and as a Kung Fu movie. Because, Ip Man is about, this dude who, he's in this little town called Foshan. And, most of the people there are, super rich. So they get into martial arts just, as a thing. Because, hey, why not? And so the town becomes known for that. And, this is an actual historical thing. This town existed and all that. But then, the Japanese, invade. And I think it was sometime in the 30s. And so, this guy, Ip Man, who was, Major Wing Chun master, who was, the best dude in all the land. They take his home from him to, use as the Japanese, headquarters. And so he's, living out on the streets now with, his wife and son, and they're struggling to make ends meet, and he ends up, kind of tangled up with, this Japanese general who's, fascinated by Chinese martial arts. It's very good. I'm not going to spoil the rest of it. It's just very good, and you should watch it. And Ip Man 2, so far, is just as good. Partially because Donnie Yen is a very good actor. But it's interesting because, I used to do a little bit of Kung Fu in high school. I don't know if I ever told you that.
Yes, you did.
And watching these movies has made me want to get back into it, which is something that hasn't happened. Whenever I watch a martial arts movie, I'm always like, man, I want to punch dudes and do that cool stuff. And, man, maybe I should do that. But then it goes away after a couple hours because I'm fat and lazy. But, this is last night after watching Jet Li's Fearless, I went straight to Google and started looking for, Kung Fu places near me. And, I still have that tab up. I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like, man, I could do that, especially now that I have a job. And I could afford it. And I just, it's almost too real, this feeling. But, regardless of whether or not you or any of the Fearless gamers want to get into Kung Fu, I highly recommend watching Jet Li's Fearless, Ip Man, and just judging by the first 10 minutes, Ip Man 2.
I actually do, I own a copy of Fearless on DVD when it first came out. I grabbed that
Have you
up.
watched it?
Yep, I've seen it.
Okay, because I have a ton of movies on DVD that I've never seen.
No, I've seen... Except for a small selection, I'd say about 2 or 3 films. Except for 2 or 3 films, I've watched at least all of my DVDs at least once.
That's cool. But yeah, Fearless was crazy. Jet Li movies in general are great. I love Jet Li.
And I've got a couple of interesting things here today. First off, you heard about what happened with EA recently?
I heard about Assassin's Creed 4.
Well, EA, the Simcity came out this week.
Oh yeah, the SimCity debacle.
And all the servers are not working or crashing.
Oh yeah, it's like Diablo 3, but worse.
The difference was the servers on Diablo 3 were working. It's just that the login was failing. And this one, you can't even get to the login screen on this game.
Yikes.
In the last, this is how my day goes when trying to play SimCity right now. Sit down, click on the icon, log into Origin, log in, game pops up, little window pops up, checking for updates, servers unavailable.
Yeah.
But
Boogie did a really good video on that on YouTube. If
yes,
anyone on Fearless Games doesn't know what I'm talking about when I say Boogie, it's Boogie2988. He's a YouTube user. Just go watch his videos. They're very good.
And it's a character named Francis.
Well, he does some Francis videos, but he also does just straight up I'm talking to you as this guy Boogie. Like he does a number of characters, but he did one Francis video which was funny, and then he also did like I'm gonna sit down and actually discuss it video. They're both very good. Anyway, continue. I stepped on you.
So lot of stuff that's happened is one, Maxis, the general manager of Maxis went, yeah, we screwed up, and we unfortunately didn't build our servers to handle the amount of traffic that we got, so we kind of screwed up on that front. EA turned around and went, oh, no, the problem is you people are enjoying the game so much that you're not logging off and giving other players a chance to play the game.
That's nonsense.
And it gets even worse.
That's a lie.
Recently, they've hired some Chinese game reviewers to write good reviews of SimCity just to counteract all the bad publicity they're getting. Okay,
I'm warning you right now to make it easier for you to find this later, but what I'm about to say you're going to have to bleep.
Okay. Okay.
Bleep that, I'm sorry. I had to...
Oh, your whole thing just cut out,
so
okay. I didn't even hear it.
I'm going to say it again because it bears repeating, and I have to lose control just this once, but that is some infuriating bull there.
Yep.
Leave the word infuriating in there.
Yes, I shall.
Also, James has just steamed me, asking if we'd started, but I told him to jump in regardless.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I don't know if he's...
So, he should be still getting a phone call, he can accept it.
Okay,
also...
Let me put the mic down so I can type to him real quick.
Okay.
But you keep talking.
Yes, and also, another thing, though, apparently this has gotten so exponential that the general manager of Maxis has revealed that on March 18th, everyone who purchased SimCity and has registered it... Oh, I'm getting a phone call.
Is that James?
That's on James' end, yep. Hello.
What's up?
Hey, James.
Hey. It's good that you came in, because we haven't gotten to the topic that I know you're going to want to talk about a few.
Yeah, we just talked about Kung Fu movies, and now we're talking about SimCity.
And recently, EA has basically announced that on the 18th, anyone who's purchased the game and has registered it will be getting a free EA game off of Origin. We don't know if it's a particular game, if it's a pick whichever game under $50, pick whatever game you want, or pick from a list. I've been jokefully saying that it's going to be, we're going to give you a free expansion to SimCity 3, to Sims 3. Don't own Sims 3? Well, now you have a reason to buy.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I would be so butthurt.
But that's perfect. They should do that.
My butt would hurt so bad, and I don't even play The Sims. I don't even have SimCity, so like I wouldn't be getting this. But I'd just be like looking on, and it's like, what are you doing? Oh, I'd be so butthurt. Oh, I'd be so mad.
Perfectly funny.
So we don't know what exactly they're giving away, because this was General Maxis. I guess it was the general manager of Maxis, basically. I guess from the way I read it was like, dude, we got to do something to make up for this, and this is what they're coming up with, and EA hasn't given them all the details of what they're going to do.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Going off that, I actually have recently, just going on to 40K for a little bit, saw a game of Chaos Demons versus Orcs this week.
Okay, how'd that go?
There's a lot of dice rolling involved.
Oh, yeah.
Well, welcome to 40K.
Well, no, like, more so than ever, because the way Phil Kelly has it worked out now is at the beginning of every shooting phase, you roll on a chart to determine what's going to happen with the demons that turn. And so every game, there's a chance that every turn, there's a chance that something will either go really, really good for the demons or go really, really bad for them.
It's playing a little bit old school because there was a lot of dice rolling back in the day when the demons.
Oh yeah, definitely.
With demonic instability. I mean, it was always like, let's see if they live. No.
Yep. But it was just like I was sitting there going, man, I haven't seen this much dice rolling in a game in forever in 40K.
Especially because they're playing against orcs, and the orcs have randomness of stuff, plus just a lot of dice to roll anyway.
Yeah, well, this was actually a very small force of orcs. He only had like 2 battle wagon, 3 like tanks, a flyer, 2 flyers, and 2 squads of orcs.
Like, that's
it was a very
like
small
Gentic in comparison to, let's say, Death.
Yeah.
So when I hear that, I still think that's big.
And speaking also, there's a couple of rumors going around now for the latest races. Some of it, Sylvester, you may actually enjoy. Their first is there was some Tau rumors going out, basically saying that the crisis suits are getting changed, but none of the Forge World ones are coming over.
Okay.
Yeah. That's been for a while.
And the Kroot HQ replaces the +1 requirement on Fire Warriors with a Kroot unit.
Okay.
Tyranids, they're still being play tested. They have a couple of new bugs coming out. The ability to tailor to make your bugs and evolve them into being very specific or keep them cheap and generalized.
Okay.
Better ways to help close with enemy. A new transport option. Carnifexes are elites and heavy supports, while broods are the same base cost as the current decks. Additional grunts are dirt cheap. Rippers are cheaper. The ability to build around free units coming in every reserve from reserves throughout the game, and can go the other route with Bugzilla Bugzilla it up and have all, including scoring monsters, creatures, and stuff like that.
That sounds just like the rumors for this current Tyranid Codex that we have. That's the exact same rumor, almost verbatim, that it was when this Codex was coming out. So, exactly.
Apocalypse has basically rumors that I've been hearing confirm that despite everyone's hopes and dreams, no Thunderhawk gunship is coming out, and now it's switching gears to the even less likely Warhound Titan being a plastic kit, which I pretty much am saying no to.
It won't happen.
But there's some Eldar unit ones that you may be interested in. Like Matt, you're a big fan of the Striking Scorpions, correct?
Yeah, they're my favorite Eldar unit.
Well, one of the rumors is that Altarks, or however you pronounce that, because I'm horrible with pronunciations of these dudes, they can take paths. These represent what paths they completed while being an Exarch and all that stuff. Well, not an Exarch, being a warrior down the different races.
Right.
And if you pick the Striking Scorpion path, Striking Scorpions are now troops.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Point reduction for everything.
I'm sorry, James. I was just like, yeah, that is cool. Just something about that was that was just such a non-sequitur. Just like, yeah, you're right. Okay, continue. I'm sorry.
It's okay. There's apparently a new special rule that influences how Howling Banshees interact in combat. Its current basically interpretation really makes them feel like glass cannons that are amazing at what they're designed to do.
Wow.
Seer Councils. What?
That's the whole point. The whole
Seer
point
Council.
is that
sorry.
To excel what they're good at.
Yeah. The Seer Councils have Brotherhood of Psychers. The Farsphere still casts their own abilities in addition, but 2 Farspheres together cast more than 2 Farspheres separately. I guess they could combo. I guess what their idea is they combo themselves together and like give themselves like an extra level or something of Psyker so they can cast more powers.
Combo breaker.
Yep. There's talk that there's no new Aspect Warriors. 2
I
new
would hope
flyers. Yeah. I was kind of hoping that the Shadow Spectres would get thrown in because I like them a lot, but
they're cool,
I still have them in the pot. What?
I really noticed that it's hard to get something Forge World integrated into the book unless they make the model themselves.
Yeah.
Valkyrie.
Well, from what I've been hearing, at least when Forge World was asked about that once, they said, we don't even collaborate with GW. If they just conveniently happen to make one of our units one of theirs, then it happens. But we never actually accumulate for that. It's all up to them if they decide that they want to or not.
Well, yeah, because GW, despite what people sometimes still think, is their boss. So if GW goes, we're taking this, they go, okay.
Yep.
That's about that.
Sure thing, boss.
A new thing that they're going off is lots of units apparently will have access to Skyfire.
That will be cool.
A new tank on a Falcon chassis. I've been hearing that this one's supposed to be a lot bigger, like a medium-sized tank, like, you know, the in-between Apocalypse and regular tanks. Yeah. But its size keeps changing on me.
Right.
Avatar is buffed a lot. The two new special characters, one of them I hope, because I think it makes a little bit more sense, is the old Spirit Seer for Iaden. Because I was always going, wait a minute, why is the army that's all about Wraith Lords and Wraith Guards have an Artok special character and not a Spirit Seer?
Well, the Prince, he came to its aid. Like, he was like almost an exiled dude as walking around, like whatever.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, oh snap, my homeworld. And then he went into
I totally understand his whole deal and what he is. It's just like when I was looking through my old third ed codex, I remembered that he wasn't in it, but the Spirit Seer was. I was like, oh yeah, why didn't she come back? Because she makes more sense for Iaden.
Yeah, what I think they did with the old Eldar codex, first off, it was very special character sparse. But what they did with him was like, here's our kind of semi-lame attempt at giving you a Corsair. Here you go.
Or actually, it's also kind of a lame attempt at giving you, like, an Abaddon.
Yeah, a little bit. Although, I will say, you know, he's saying they're going to buff, that's the word. They're going to try to boost it. The Avatar thing.
You can totally beef it.
And, what I think GW should adopt from Forge World is the model of the Avatar. It looks like it's imposing, and then you see the GW one kind of like, whatever.
For anyone who's never seen it, the GW Avatar goes up to about the waist of the plastic Wraith Lord, whereas the Forge World one is slightly taller than its head.
Like, it's supposed to be a monstrous creature, right? And it's not even the size of a Wraith Lord.
Yep. And also, I do find I was kind of glad that GW did it, even though I understand why they're doing it. Like, they classify him as a demon, but they improved his invulnerable save above the average demon.
Yeah.
Which I was like, okay, that makes more sense. Okay, he's a demon, but since he's a god avatar, he has a better invuln save than your average chump demon.
Yeah, and basically they call him a demon, but not to be split in hairs. He's basically a creation of some type of psychic resonance. It's the only way to make rules-wise is a demon. Yeah, the
better way to say it is he's in the Imperial catalog, he fits the description of a demon.
And he happens to be weak to the same things demons are because he's basically a psyker manifestation.
There's talk of X-Arches will be good at duels in different ways, so I guess they're making the X-Arches like super challengeable opponents, which makes sense because they're X-Arches.
Yeah.
Far Spheres are still awesome Psychers, which, yeah, they're supposed to be. They're freaking Far Spheres of the Psychic race.
Yes, they're supposed to be. And they always were awesome. And they're the only race that can kind of go, Pyros, nah.
4-up, ignore.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
On top of my invoke save, oh snap.
Yeah, and what now, I'm assuming when you mentioned the Striking Scorpion, it's for if he takes any aspect tap, that unlocks him as a cube choice?
What it is the way I'm interpreting it is I guess it's, you pick either their original path or the last path they took. So if you give them the Path of the Scorpion, then all striking Scorpions squads count as troops.
Right. I'm hoping that applies to all aspects, because I might actually try to make a full Warp Spider army, because I love Warp Spiders.
That would be awesome.
Warp Spiders are also pretty cool. They're like my second favorite.
I like them the most for how they look, really. I could care less how well
they look pretty cool. Well, that's what sold me on the striking Scorpions, is if you look at them, they look like the Predator.
Yeah.
And I think we had this discussion last week. I am a huge Predator fan, so...
Right there with you.
I saw that and I was like, yes! But I decided I want to paint them in, like, yellow and black, because I also think bees look really cool.
Yeah, and that works. That works a lot, especially if you read the new Gav Thrope books. He basically encourages painting each unit of the same aspect different colors to represent each shrine within the craft world that they're in. Which I think is really cool.
Accept it though, Matt, if you have an Exarch Buck and an Exarch Bumble.
Okay. So, I also, if I do Warp Spiders, I want to paint them blue and red as opposed to white and red, mostly because Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Yes, they are very much.
But we've been talking a bit about things that happen to be things we like, but wasn't there a comment recently?
Well, I just want to finish up this
list.
Okay,
I wasn't sure if you were done or not.
Before we finish up.
Okay.
Is Warlocks improve Deny the Witch? Okay. I guess because Warlocks, which a little bit makes for sense, they don't tap into the warp as much, and they're more overly protecting themselves than Far Spheres do to tap into the warp, so it makes a little bit sense.
They're basically a psychic bodyguard for the Far Spheres / a psychic guide for a squad. So it's kind of like, hey, go away.
Yep. Apparently Falcon and Wave Serpents will get a point reduction, which is nice. A way to make some of the Craft World specific lists, which would be awesome, because then you belly tan, yay, I love those guys.
They're cool. I mean, and again, just real quick, for all the Fearless Gamers, this is a rumor thing that's been out. It's all purely speculative. We're not saying this is going to happen. This is what people are speculating on.
Yep. There's rumors of additional rules for allying with Dark Eldar, and depending on who writes it, there's possibility of an expanded fluff of the war in Heaven.
Yeah,
and
I can do that.
That is the rumors roundup for this week.
That's of the KO40.
So, any final thoughts before we move on with all these rumors? Eldar, Tau, Tyranids.
I really want the Tau to be next. This is the only reason why. Well, not the only reason. This is one of the big reasons why. Of all the rumors of codices coming out, the Tau is the oldest of the codices rumored. It needs an update. Well, they're not rumored to be coming out anytime soon. So they get rumors here and there, but of the current rumor mill, them and the Black Templar, you're correct, are the oldest codices right now, and the Tau are hot on the rumor mill, so I really hope they're next. They're saying maybe April. And I'm hoping so because they're old, they have war gear that doesn't even work anymore, they need an update.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah. It is, get the older books up to spec right now, please.
Yeah.
And I hope that the Tau don't get a suit that makes them close combat capable. I hope the Tau still go, close combat, who knows? Except for Farsight. But, Farsight.
Yeah. Get the old books out of the way while also focusing a bit more on the not Space Marines for a little while. Like, Black Templars, they're old, but you know what? We have so many different flavors of Space Marine.
There's a couple of talks going that, Space Marines should be the next Codex because they're the poster child. It's like, well, that's the problem, is they've been the poster child for so long, everyone's sick and tired of them.
But here's the thing, though. The Dark Angels are the poster child. If you look on the current rulebook, they're on the cover. So they already have the poster child and the nemesis of the poster child, Chaos, done. That's why they're the first two to come out, because they're in the introductory box. It's Chaos and Dark Angels. You need rules for them. So bravo for doing that, even if it's purely coincidental. I think Tau should be next. As much as we have so many flavors of Space Marines, the Black Templar is just such an old codex. I would love for it to be done after Tau. Just get those two done out of the way. It gives you a Xenos race. It goes back to give some Space Marine love. It helps bring the Black Templars into the foreground again. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, by the way, they exist or whatever. And then after that, you can work on, because we had the demons, that's kind of different. So after that, you can work on, I would
say the Nids need it more than Eldar.
The Eldar are older.
The Eldar are older, but I think, at least in my experience, I feel that the Nids could use a little bit more of a boost than the Eldar right now. Because the Eldar have enough going with them that they can survive in 6th edition.
They do, but at the same time, a lot of people really feel the Eldar are fighting an uphill battle. And I, for one, agree solely because they're supposed to be so flavorful, like the rainbow, because they have so many different aspects. But when we really get down to it, it's kind of like, yeah, just take this aspect and this aspect. Don't waste your time anywhere else. Just take this unit and this unit. Don't waste your time anywhere else. There's always the same cookie-cutter list for Eldar, the same, like, 3 or 4 lists. Tyranids, I played against them. I see them played. They can be still very competitive. There's a little bit of wind out of their sails, but I think it should be Eldar, and then either Tyranids or Orcs, to be honest, because I think Orcs, again...
Orcs need it, I think.
Yeah, the Orcs have the cool randomness, it's just not... It just doesn't feel quite right to me. I think it felt great in 5th, but now at 6th, it feels kind of like we're not really getting, proper exposure to what we do. Because they're fun. Their big problem, though, is that them and Tyranids, is nobody really wants to start them because it's so model-heavy.
Yeah. So I've got a question that I'm going to ask you guys after we deal with what what the clown mentioned, which is we have a little something about us and our dislikes. I'm going to pop down a name because I can't pronounce this subscriber's name, who asked us a question on our last podcast.
Oh my God, that is a very difficult name to pronounce. I'm going to give it a shot and say Kinsr? It's Qiinsr.
Okay, what? So if we pronounced your name wrong, we apologize.
Kinsr? Oh my God.
Quincer?
It could be Quincer, it could be Kinsr, it could be Chinsr. It really depends on
how they decide to pronounce it.
Yeah, basically. Maybe where they're from. I don't know.
So we apologize if we pronounced your name wrong.
I don't.
But your question was, what's with the dislike of the wolves all the time? I've been waiting for someone to ask this.
I was going to say real quick, first off, it's funny. Because people will get really, like, oh no, you're making fun. It doesn't matter. You can make fun of Dark Angels all day long. I'm not going to go, what would the hurt? It's just funny because some people get really defensive. But let's actually answer it for real.
So, the clown, why don't you go first?
I have a very, very basic reason. They're stupid. They're really dumb. I'm sorry. But they're dumb in a way that just doesn't work within the setting. There's so many things about them.
That's your opinion.
Well, yeah, I said I had a very specific reason.
Yeah.
Looking at them, they don't fit the setting. They don't fit Space Marines. They don't. They're just really stupid. And that's most of why I don't like them. That and. I can't. Oh God, they're just. They ride wolves. Come on.
Yeah.
This isn't Warhammer Fantasy, guys. This is Warhammer 40,000 in space, riding wolves. Space wolves.
Going off that, there's just one thing: is there's this constant talk of there are no wolves on Fenris, and I'm like. Then where did those guys come from?
Right, where did the giant
Those are clearly wolves on Fenris.
Do they import
them? You see, they're wolves until you call them out. They go, no, they're not wolves. They're biogenetically engineered super beasts of riding and killing.
No, they're not. They're imported.
Yeah, no, actually, speaking of that, in one of the books, Magnus says, yes, actually, they brought the wolves to the planet, so technically, yes, there are wolves on Fenris, but they aren't indigenous to Fenris, so that's why there are no wolves.
So they are imported?
Yes, they were originally. They were originally imported, but also they had the genetic structure more like a rhino, but as a wolf. Because, crazy genetics.
They're customs. That would never get through customs.
I don't know if you know this. Customs doesn't exist in 40K.
That explains a lot.
But yes, that's where the whole thing comes from. Is people jokefully say, "Oh, there are no wolves on Fenris," because they know that the wolves on the planet don't actually come from Fenris, and half the Space Wolves will either say they're totally wolves on Fenris, and then some will go, "What the heck are you talking about? This ain't a wolf."
I think you snap them and go, "Yes, it is. It doesn't matter where it's from. It's a wolf. It doesn't matter how big it is. It's a wolf. It doesn't matter what genetics you put into it. It's a wolf. It looks like a wolf. It acts like a wolf. It's a wolf.
It barks like a wolf." Wildcard, why do you have all the disliking on the wolves?
All right. First off, disclaimer: my personal channel, I did a whole video on this, and that was like 15 minutes. So I'm not going to do that here. But here's the thing: 40K is all about being over the top. I get this. Space Marines are cool because they're crazy, over the top, wearing a tank on them, basically walking around killing things with their bare hands. It's over the top, it's crazy, it's just too much to really be saying. I get that. I get that Space Wolves are over the top in their own way. And that's the problem for me. Here we go. Space Wolves. What are they? We're looking at a Space Marine chapter that's kind of got Norse mythos going on there. Cool. You know, Viking-esque. All right. And then you throw a werewolf in there. And I go, what? And I'm going to do a quick reference to Blood Angels. Blood Angels are called Space vampires. They have a lot of vampirism going on in there. They're not Transylvanian also. They're more Greco-Roman. And, you know, they don't have Vlad the Impaler leading the Blood Angels. Yeah, they're space vampires, whatever. They're all pretty boys. Who cares? But the vampirism works because it's just vampirism. The problem with the Space Wolves is, you got this, for me, it's this werewolf mentality, literally with the wolf in, going on with this whole wolf theme, which can be great on its own. You know, you can have a wolf theme on its own, fine. Then you have everything else on top of that, and how they're fiercely independent and fiercely fighting for the common person. I feel, honestly, if you took their almost Valhallan-style nature and, you know, Norse heaviness of being married and everything like that, and celebrating life because you could die at any moment, and put that into an Imperial Guard regiment, it would be awesome. Because that's very fitting, because they're going to die at any moment. You know, might as well celebrate whether celebrating is good. But putting it together with the Space Wolves really bothered me. And the thing that made it worse was the Thunderwolf cavalry. Come on, people. You don't have the Raven Wing riding gigantic ravens. They're by bikes. You don't need Thunderwolf to literally be wolves. You don't need that. You can have them have an ATV even, a gigantic ATV, because they want to ride something gigantic. Fine. But the problem for me is the look of everything, because they're trying to combine the feralness, and the closing point will be, with that feralness, is that these are Space Wolves. They're savage, but they're cunning. They're feral, but they're intelligent. They're brutal and berserk, but they're calm, cool, and collected. They can't be everything. This can't be the D&D character that wants to be everything. They have to pick a certain niche and go with it. You don't have the Blood Angels going, we're berserk, but we're totally cool. You know, they're going, we're berserk, and we're trying to overcome that. We don't want to become berserk. That's a bad thing. It's a drawback we have. And the Space will look at nothing as a drawback. And when you look at the Codex, how it's lined up with it, even it's kind of mirroring, well, it was, once the 6th edition mirrored it again. They've looked at its Codex stacked up to the equivalent edition of the Chaos Codex. They almost look exactly the same. You have the Chaos Chosen, and you got the Wolf Guard. They're almost exactly the same in style, especially back in the older codices. So it's just kind of like, it's just good chaos.
And this is part of why I say they don't entirely fit in the setting, because they're really not too distinct from their evil counterparts, and thus why are they still considered part of the Imperium?
Yeah,
it's like,
and the whole thing is, well, they're so savage and just cunning and just so good that we don't want to make a war with them because they can fight really well. We've made war plenty of Renegade Space Marine chapters in the 40K fluff. They can be easily taken out too. It's just that they're not. And the problem is also, like I said, they don't really have a flaw. They do have a flaw, the Wolfsingers, but they don't even view it as a flaw. Every other being in 40K has some type of flaw, that, whether it's tragic or just a flaw in there that they acknowledge and try to overcome. And the Space Wolves, yes, it's kind of in there in the novels, But when you look at it and the way the codex is represented, the way everything's represented, it's not really used as a flaw. You can have Marco the Wolfen on one of your guys in a squad. He's basically a feral, crazy Wolfen dude now, in a sense. But it's not even like a bad thing. It's not a separate squad like the Death Company, the Blood Angels. It's not something like that. It's like everything is embraced as good, and it's a concept that doesn't work when you have it with Space Wolves. It works with the Tau, because that's the whole shtick. So I don't know. That's why I don't like them. They just, aside from the model's look, I think crazy 80s hair I can deal with because it's crazy 80s hair. Whatever. Put on a helmet.
We're children of the 80s.
Yeah, and then, put on a helmet, though. I'm going to leave it at that. Put on a freaking helmet. How many Space Wolves aren't wearing helmets? Mostly all of them.
For anyone who is not aware, the wild card is very against Space Marines without helmets.
Because you're in the 41st millennium. You're in the 41st
with bullets
millennium.
that are grenades.
Yes, and you're wearing, even with Terminator, I hate it with Terminator armor especially. I'm in tactical Dreadnought armor, head to toe, except for my face. Really? Head to toe can take an anti-tank missile except for my face.
And let's also note in a lot of the universes, when the people have like bionic eyes or something, it's because they did not have a helmet on.
Yeah, they got shot, or they did have a helmet on and it saved their life and they lost just their eye. I mean,
yep.
Also your helmet lets you, breathe in space. The helmet, gives you tactical readouts and lets you see everything and gives you a full heads-up display. Why not wear your helmet? I would wear a helmet all the time. Even when I'm not in the armor, just have a helmet on. This is awesome. It's giving me so many cool readings. I mean,
now I'm just picturing a Space Marine in like a wife beater and jeans and a helmet.
I'm just picturing James like putting on a Space Marine helmet and just be like, "Oh my god, this is so cool! Oh my god, this is the most awesome thing I've ever done."
I mean, the whole thing. When you look at the fluff of Space Marine armor, there's different interfaces to connect to your ranged weaponry, if I could speak, that let you almost have like laser sight, but you can only see it in your helmet. It connects to just fire on the move, and it shows you where the gun is pointing with a little indicator in your heads-up display that's on your helmet, which you need to wear to see this. So you can basically fire from the hip and be accurate. And the fluff we're talking about here. And there's, rebreather, filtering, your purification system, where you get your water from a little bit, a medical display. Here, go to this part in the map. You got GPS in there, your cell phone's in there. Come on.
And so going off that, why do I hate the Space Wolves? This is a little bit of an interesting, evolutionary story. I didn't start out hating the Space Wolves just for hating the Space Wolves. Originally, it started as a fluff thing, because I'm a Dark Angels player, and Dark Angels and Space Wolves don't get along too well. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna, rat on the Space Wolves because, I'm a Dark Angel player, screw the Space Wolves, the Lion is better than Russ. Then I started finding out more and more about the Space Wolves, and the more and more I learned, the more and more I hated them. I think it really teetered over the edge when I was reading up on the White Dwarfs, and there was this picture of the Wolfen. And it was these dudes, with feral claws, and they looked almost warp-tainted. And I was like, oh, those are Chaos, possessed or something. And one person points out, no, those are Space Wolves. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean they're Space Wolves? They're like, oh, they're these Wolfen dudes. They're werewolf Space Wolves. And I'm like, and the Inquisition hasn't purged them for this yet?
Someone about genetic purity or something?
That's so non-Space Marine right there. They should have been, as soon as the first Wolfen was seen, Grey Knight should have been on Fenris and wiped the whole thing out. It just doesn't make sense.
Don't do that. Grey Knights have no friends except for the Grey Knights. Don't kill anybody.
It's true.
And to even make it worse, they gave them a dude who actually is a werewolf.
You had to bring up Redmaw? Come on.
Yes. I was like, no, this should not be. The minute he's on the field, anyone who's not a Space Wolf should be reporting that crap to Terra, and they should be dead.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Fearless Gamers, in Imperial Armor 11, I think, is where the Space Wolves and the Eldars, what the Eldar other aspect came from.
The Doom of Chimera.
Yeah, there's something Redmaw. It doesn't matter what his name is, because he's not important as a person, because he's fake. But he has a special rule where basically, after something happens, he goes full-blown, gigantic werewolf. If you played World of Darkness, he goes Krynos, basically. And, and he does the stupidest thing. If he loses all of his weaponry, he loses his 2+ runic armor that he had. I mean, he has some cool stuff. He just goes, forget about this. I'm going to rip everything off, become this naked feral werewolf and run around and do stuff.
And he doesn't get rending.
Yeah, which is weird. But how do you let that... He leads an entire great company of Space Wovles. How is that leader material?
I just go crazy and rip everything apart. But then also, again, it's also the very contradictory stuff about them. Like, I hate their whole outlook on Psychers. Makes me just go nuts, because for anyone who doesn't know, they're highly anti-Psyker. But they have rune priests. And rune priests are basically librarians. But if anyone ever calls them out, they go, no, see, we do it that's not warp, that is power from Fenris. We're doing it the safe way.
So it's
Fenris
magic, which is something that the Imperium doesn't like.
Yep.
And they use
But if you call them out on it, they say it's pure and safe, and it's not the warp, it's the power of Fenris we're tapping into.
It's so
and they
dumb.
usually talk... And in one fluff book, the dude goes, yes, I'm using the power of Fenris to talk to you right now through this. They're like in this like warp ethereal plane, and he's talking to 1,000 Sun who brought him there. And he's like, he's like, you're using your warp sorcery to bring me in here. It's like, I'm using the same power you're using. And he's like, no, I'm using a pure version. He's like, no, it's still the same thing.
This isn't a Brita water filter. You can't filter it.
And I'm just sitting there going, he's right! You're doing the exact same freaking thing!
Well,
Get off your high horse!
Now. They're doing... Yeah, high wolf. Now, hold on. Come on, they're using feral totems and ruins to cast their magic, which is even worse, because that's what Eldar do, and that's what the Chaos do.
And again, why hasn't anybody just gone, wait a minute?
Just one cotton picking second.
Now, you brought that up. I want to bring something up, and that is in the Space Wolf Codex. Space Wolves hate teleportation. They distrust it completely. They use drop pods. They don't teleport deep strike with their Tyranids. They'll use drop pods, something safe, the iron around them, which, sure, teleportation, extremely dangerous in 40K. I can see not wanting to do it. I'm not hating that. But then we get Arjak the Rockfist, who, first off, has this awesome hammer. It's an awesome hammer of awesomeness. I'll give it that. He throws it as a ranged weapon. Okay, kind of cool also. I would love to throw it on the hammer or something too, because it's probably very satisfying. But then it has the inbuilt teleportation thing to home back to his hand, so the teleports back to his hand. Two problems. First off, Space Wolves hate teleportation. Secondly, that's a highly advanced, accurate form of teleportation that we can't even drop 5 dudes onto the part we set. You know, if they want to drop, let's say, using the United States in Arkansas, they may end up in California because, we deviated. We couldn't get it that precise. And you're getting this hammer to be perfectly teleported to his hand.
Well,
and they hate teleportation.
They're using runes. They're using rune magic.
The argument that they can go off of is that his gauntlet has a built-in teleporter homer that's tuned to the Thunderhammer.
They even have... That's no, because Marneus, Kaldar, and Belial have teleport homers built into their armor. And it's not like the guy appears on top of his armor. He appears in the whole teleporting within the teleport homer rule.
Yeah.
Magic runes, laddie!
Yeah,
don't have to explain shite!
And
all that fancy jumping around will do you nothing.
The hammer is full of runic symbols, yes, you're completely right. But they also saying, it's teleporting an inanimate object, so it's a lot easier to do it. Granted, teleporting something that's not a person is probably a lot easier, but it's still not. It's still dumb, especially when
essentially they went with the reverse Terminator, where teleporting something living is safer than teleporting something non-living.
Right, and what was I saying in the beginning? They hate teleportation. Why would somebody who hates it, who won't trust it, go, yeah, sure, give me a hammer, it's going to teleport back to me? I have complete confidence it won't end up in my sternum. I mean, really.
Again, they just do so many things that you just don't understand why the Inquisition hasn't been called down upon them yet. The only thing I will say is I don't have as big of a deal with Russ. He's probably the only one that I can tolerate a little bit as Russ.
Russ is actually pretty cool, because the idea of Russ is that he's faking the accent, basically. He's actually he's a Primarch, but he's being like his people so they don't view him as strange.
Yeah. He's emulating the culture he's experienced.
And I can accept him as being the Emperor's executioner, which is what the Space Wovles Legion is supposed to be. I accept him as being that, because he goes, you know what? I will do what he says. If he says for me to kill my own brother, I'm gonna go do it, because that's what I do. So I accept his whole thing. It just goes so wrong with the Space Wolf. But then you have Lucas the Trickster, who's got stasis bomb in place of a secondary heart. You know why?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
How is that
For anyone who doesn't know, he's got this one dude, he has this bomb attached to his heart, so when he's removed from play, he blows up.
And it's a stasis thing, and it takes everybody with him. He's basically the equivalent of Loki for the Space Wolf. And it's just so dumb. It doesn't make any sense. Having a chameleon, a cloak that he cuts from a creature he's slaying or whatever it is, cool. Fine. You know what? Throw a little bit of fantasy D&D in there, loot the stuff. Whatever. But carving out your secondary heart, which is there to help you run faster or take over your primary heart is killed, to put a stasis bomb because it would be a really cool prank if I die. What? I kind of get the idea of if I die, everybody goes with me. Okay, I get that. Because you really have, you're removing the genetic purity of the Space Marine physiology to put this thing.
Yeah. Like, it couldn't have just been on his armor that goes off that once his heart signs flatline or something?
What? No. Why would they ever do something like that?
Oh, and lastly, to continue on this rant, because once I start, the fun don't stop.
Yeah.
The Blood Claws are their initiates, and they throw them into the really hard to make and maintain power armor, and their super elite guys become the scouts. Now, I get the whole reason that you have super elite infiltrators, but the whole reason, I don't know, every other chapter does it the other way around, is because the scouts have a high mortality rate. I mean, it's really hard to maintain power armor that's constantly being blown to bits.
Yep.
So, I find it really weird that, okay, alright, he went through the entire process, alright, give him our best armor. No, the whole point, that's a rite of passage. I get it, maybe they do things, obviously they're doing things differently, but it just doesn't make sense especially with the fluff of 40k. Making one bullet for a bolter is equivalent to making like a dozen lasgun rifles. Making power armor is extremely difficult in 40k. It's a labor-intensive, resource-intensive project. But that's the whole fluff that's been there since the dawn of 40k, basically. The dawn of this version of 40k fluff, the modern 40k fluff. It's not exactly the easiest thing to do. We can barely make Terminator armor. Some factors can't make it at all. And they're giving them power armor, not Terminator armor, but the power armor is still difficult to maintain. It's finicky. You gotta anoint it, you gotta bless it properly, you gotta ask it permission, basically.
Yep.
Why give it to your raw recruit? That's like giving it to an Imperial Guardsman on steroids.
Yeah. Not a good idea.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, I get they're trying to do something different, and it almost works, except for the part where it fails.
Yeah, I think it was they had something good, and then they just kept going until it went bad.
Oh, and on top of that, their assault marine guys, the Sky Claws, are blood claws with jump packs. Like, you mean you can't have a Grey Hunter put on a jump pack and go jumping around and do stuff?
Yeah.
So I'd just like to say real quick, congratulations, Keen Sir. You've opened up a can of worms.
Yes, which is great, and we're going to get a lot of those people, the funny Space Wovles, and here's the thing.
We're going to lose so many subs.
But here's the thing. You like what you like. Don't let anybody make you feel differently. Don't think because we're bashing on Space Wovles that you're liking them makes us bashing on you. Not really. No. You can like Space Wovles. I've talked to plenty of Space Wovles fans. And you can make fun of anything you want, really, because this is a game with a fake universe, with fake storyline, and fake things in there. So we can bash it all we want. And you can bash Dark Angels all you want.
Yep. Like, a good example is, like, just going out there as I was recently at Brothers Grimm, and there was a dude who was playing, there was one guy who was playing, Dark Angels, and one dude who was playing Dark Eldar. And I turned to the Dark Angels player, like, you're gonna win, you're awesome, because you're playing the First Legion, that's awesome. Then I turn to the Dark Eldar player and go, I'm sorry, I'm an Eldar player, you're horrible ridden scum and should be wiped off the face of the earth. And he laughed. He laughed at that. He's like, "Oh, you stupid Eldar player."
Basically, that's how it goes. That's called joshing around. I don't know why, but it is. And and it's funny because
I guess the first person to do it was Josh.
Yes. The funny thing is, the vet and I are Dark Angels fans, and when it comes to the big Chaos Legions, we like Thousand Suns, so it's double hatred on the Space Wovles.
Yep. Like we.
That's really it. And you know what? When I see a Space Wolf player, I'm not going to go to playing a stupid army. No, you can like what you like. We're just ranting on why we don't like it. But if you like the Space Wolves, I'll go, oh, that's a cool army. Cool paying job. I'm a Dark Angel player, so I can't like what you do here. But it's a joke, and I'm joking.
Oh, we always, like I said, in the at Brothers Grimm, we pretty much all the fluff-hated armies always just jokefully talk smack about each other. It's all in good fun.
Yeah, the people who take it too far are the ones you don't want to play with. And we went over that in Touching Base.
In an episode of Touching Base.
Yeah, but it's just you like what you like. Don't, and not just us, but anybody. Just because somebody says Grey Knights are the best, Dark Eldar are the best, Orcs are the best, don't play Tyranids, they suck. If you like whatever army you like, if you like Tyranids, you play it, you make an army, and you beat that person who says they suck, and you go, guess what? I beat you with an army that supposedly sucks.
A good example of that is Mr. Wildcard here. He was playing Dark Angels when the Dark Angels, it was the 4th Ed or the 5th Ed Codex, I forget which one it was.
Yeah.
And one gamer at our game store was like, the Dark Angels are really junky, they're horrible, you should be playing Grey Knights because they're the best. And James here went, want to play a game? He's like, yeah, sure, I feel sorry for you because I'm playing Grey Knights and all that. And you ended up schooling him.
Oh yeah, I wiped the floor with him. I lost 2 guys. And those are 2 of the 3 Ravenwing in my squad that charged Grey Knight Terminators, and I took down the squad with 3 Ravenwing.
And this guy through the whole thing was like, why am I losing?
This was the Dark Angel Codex prior to the one we have now, but especially one, and that was the Codex that at first people went, okay, cool. And then when Space Marine Codex came out, the one that we currently have, they went, Dark Angels are terrible. And yes, I will agree, it took them way too long to bring our Storm Shields and our Cyclonus Launchers up to snuff because they're the same freaking weapon. Why are they different? But this was even before that, and they still pretty much destroyed this really strong, overpowered list supposedly. And it's really what you play, it's how you play it. That's the beauty of this. It's that's the beauty of it.
Yep, so it's essentially, love what you love, and don't think that we're judging you because you love what you love. And we're also assuming that you're not going to be judging us because we don't like what we don't like.
Incidentally, after last week's podcast discussing the whole Grey Knights thing, I think when I do get around to doing my Slaanesh army, wherever down the line, I'm probably just going to use Grey Knights units just to mess with Grey Knights fans.
Which I tried to thumb through the book and I could not find that fluff piece.
I'll try and track down the page number for you at some point.
Okay.
And it's in there. I saw a screenshot.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it. And speaking of, I have one question that I'd like to ask you guys before we wrap up.
Okay. No, I won't go out with you.
Ah, damn it.
I saw it coming. So yeah, what's the question?
In terms of a lot of this stuff going on, as everyone's pretty much aware, everyone's been getting very elitist with the author of codexes nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think that Games Workshop should reduce the number of authors down to say maybe 1 or 2 to try and keep it a little bit more balanced and equal, or do you think that keeping it with multiple authors is a better way to go with the game?
If they reduce the number to 1 or 2, we're going to get less codices, because it's going to take longer for them to put them out. So, I'm going to say just keep it as it is, because, we get codices and the game works. So just leave it as it is. If they really want to avoid any kind of, author-based shenanigans around the fluff, well, then appoint another couple of editors to keep consistency. But reducing the number of authors is just going to reduce the total productivity and reduce the amount of books we actually get. And that's going to not just, piss off the fans, because now it's going to be well, let's wait another 3 years for the Tau Codex. but it's also going to screw up their profit margins, which is something they definitely do not want to do. So I would say add more authors.
Okay.
Going off of that, I remember, now I didn't get into 40K since the beginning, but I remember when you got maybe 2 codices a year coming out, because the editions lasted longer than the previous 2 did. And it looks like 6 is going to last a while. So I remember it being, oh man, did you see we got this and this coming out this year? Which, you know, that's how I remember it to be. And now we're getting a codex almost a quarter. It's pretty quick when you think about it. So, if they did reduce authorship, or authors I should say, what doesn't matter, I think we'll go back to that. If they want to keep it as it is, I don't see a problem with the number of authors writing the stuff. Now, if they're worried about fluff, then they should have people who just work on fluff and monitor it and police the fluff. You can have rules. I personally don't think you should have a rules person making the fluff or the fluff person making the rules. Because if I'm really good at writing cool fluff, but I'm not really good at understanding how to write rules that are fair, balanced, and easy to do, it may come across terribly. I feel it's 2 different schools of writing. Could one person do it? Yes, but I don't think every author necessarily is going to be able to do such. And I am of the boat of just have more, you don't want too many fingers in the stew. But if you have a team working on the book, you have right in there, as long as I'm on a team with a yes man to the main guy, you have in there some checks and balances. You have 2 to 3 people working on a codex, which I imagine they do for balancing rules and testing. I think that should help. I think not a problem, but I think the issue being with 40K and GW, and I don't know fantasy very well, so I can't speak for that. If you look at how many things are super secretive in the 40K, Dark Angels, you barely get any info, they're super secretive organization. The Inquisition is super secretive. There's so many things that are blatantly meant to be secret and throw you off the trail, that when eventually you get more information, it's not known if they thought of that the day before, or if that's always been in the fluff of that particular organization. It's just hard for us, I think, in 40K to tell what has always been established and what is thought on the fly, because some of the organizations, some of the groups, and some of the stuff that's purely fluff-based in the army, it's super secretive that when you get a book that reveals it, you're kind of like this, what? It's just how, I think it's kind of confusing. But that's part of the nature of having kind of secretive organizations everywhere.
I kind of feel like, one, they used to do where it was like 2 or 3 writers per book. Like if you look in the Angels of Death Codex, the Dark Angels, the 3rd edition Eldar, the 3rd edition Dark Angels, there was at least 2 to 3 writers per book on just the book itself, and then another 2 or 3 writers on the story. I kind of feel that it'd probably be better, if not essentially, like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, they should just let Phil Kelly, or oh, they should just let Matt Ward do all the codexes, and yes, that would be, balance-wise, it would be probably a little bit better, but on the same time, then you run the risk of every codex basically being the same on that front, and nothing being different. I kind of agree with, like, maybe doing, like, essentially, in a way, maybe kind of, in a sense, making the authors collaborate with each other a little bit more. So one doesn't write one, like, a good example is, say if Matt Ward's like, oh, I'm going to throw 3d6 weapons everywhere and strength 9 weapons everywhere, he should probably be talking with Phil Kelly, so Phil Kelly knows that he's got to account his codex for fighting a codex that's going to be dealing with that, when instead of Phil Kelly going, well, Matt Ward's obviously going to give everything strength 5 weapons, so I'm going to build this army to deal with strength 5 weapons and nothing more getting shot at them, type of thing.
Yeah.
I think it would be better if the authors collaborated a little bit more together, so they kind of understand what the other armies that their particular army is going to have to face.
That's a good point.
And I also agree that I think, to be honest, if you want to get a little bit more fluffy in the books, why not just have the novelists write the fluff for them? Because, like, they're already doing it, so they can just gather their resources of whatever books they have done and compile a fluff in the Codex book.
When you look at the new 6th edition code sheets that came out, they actually little bits and pieces from novels and throw it in there as fluff.
Yep.
And I say that because in 5th edition they didn't really do that, really. But
yeah, it was very
textbooky. They really did. So it was very much kind of what they used to do. It's like, okay, they're writing the fluff, we'll use parts of that, and then when we have to physically describe the unit, we'll get the fluff up from there in addition to that. And the point that you brought up, I think, is something that really is a question that we can't answer because we're not in charge, but or the Fearless Gamers can't answer either, is think about it. There's a lot of different codices in the game of 40K. It's a lot of different armies. That's a lot of being fair and balanced. Sometimes, you can't win them all. Sometimes it's almost when we have a blatant advantage to it. That's just the way it goes from having different style of armies. And if you try to have, like you said, with one or two, let's say, decent or good authors authoring everything, it's going to be, it may become a good thing, or it could be a result of, okay, let's out-trump what we did. And that's what a lot of people, I think, feel is happening. But at the same time, I don't know if it's necessarily out-trumping, or it's let's revitalize what this army is good at. You can't just build you can't build to be one up every time, because that's just going to constantly make the multiple codices come out in one edition technically. If you want to go, but the first one's going to be so outclassed by the last one. But at the same time, you can't build them to be perfect stalemate matches, because that takes away the feel, the flavor, and the strengths of certain armies. Like orcs are very good in close combat, we know this, and the Tau aren't. But if you build them to be kind of fair and balanced, you wouldn't really feel that. And the whole point is you made the Tau better at shooting than orcs. And the orcs having, the ability to withstand it, but not being very good with the armor and all that. And it kind of balances out by playing to the strengths of the armies without going crazy. So it's a tough, I think, really it is a tough thing to do, because it just isn't like a video game or strategy game or something where it's got, maybe 5 factions. You've got a lot of factions here. It's pretty tough.
To sort of just offer one last suggestion as far as the fluff is concerned, because the problem with getting the novelists to do all the fluff is that novelists are often very busy writing novels, and not necessarily for your company. So it wouldn't necessarily be the most reliable way to do it. Instead, just take a group of 3 or 4 staff writers and make them the dedicated fluff group. They work together in a room to decide upon, this is the fluff, this is what's going on. You basically just do it like a TV show, where they all sit in a room, they decide exactly what's going on in the universe and what is not going on in the universe and what gets revealed when, and that is the best way to keep it consistent. And I don't know, maybe they are doing that. It's entirely possible that they're doing that over at Games Workshop headquarters. We don't know. But
they won't answer our phone calls, so we can't find out.
They threw me off the premises when I went there. I didn't go there, I'm lying.
Right. No, but you make a good point, and that's like you said, novelists, they're novelists. They're not your company's novelists.
Right.
But
they're not staff writers, so they're busy doing other things.
Yeah, but they can take what the novel they've written and take excerpts like they used to do and put them in the codex.
That's
which is ironic, because what's interesting with that, just going off that, is a lot of the novelists in Black Library were the original codex writers. Like Gav Thrope did the original Eldar codexes, and a couple of the writers now were originally all. They were pretty much the reason why half their books are so good is because they originally essentially were on the creation board of these armies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. I know that's pretty much our closing note, but I got a quick question for you guys.
Okay.
It's a quick one. What's your favorite supersuit?
What? Like superhero supersuit?
No, it's like a supersuit, whether it's Space Marine armor, Iron Man armor, some type of suit, the Half-Life, whatever, some type of thing in a video game or a movie that's just not, it's something that's awesome.
It's just a suit, not a mech or anything like that.
Like a suit. Like a super suit. I know it's like specific to one movie or whatever it is, the name kind of, but I don't know what else to call it. Like whether it's power armored, whether it's some spec ops type thing in a game, or
mechanical powered thing that isn't a mecha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to even be super mechanically powered. It's just got to be some type of suit that bestows upon the user better
something.
The four riders from Kamen Rider Blade.
Okay.
I can't decide between all four of them because they're all great. But they're basically, each of them is based on one of the suits of cards, like in a deck of playing cards. And so, like, Blade is based on a spade, and he's got a sword, and it's really hard to describe. So maybe I'll send Matt like a link to a picture that he can put in the description or something, or Fearless Gamers, you can Google it. But they managed to fuse the concept of like mechanical knight armor, suits from decks of cards, and like a specific bug for each guy in a way that was really, really, really good. And Blade's not even my favorite show, but those are my favorite suits.
Cool.
Let's see. With me, it's really tough to say for me, because I've never really sat there and went, like, yes, if I had to choose between these armors, this is the one I'd pick, so I really don't have a favorite super suit type of thing. It's really, I know it's like really cop-out, but I really can't really I don't have one.
Okay, well now kind of at least gets a semi-answer out. Would you pick an Iron Man style suit? Would you pick a Half-Life style suit that Gordon Freeman wears? Would you pick a Halo suit, like from Halo? Would you pick a powered armor thing, like from 40K? Or would you pick something like a nano suit, like a ghost suit, or a Terra Marine suit from StarCraft? Looking at those styles.
I'd probably take something more stealthy because I am kind of less of a... I really stink at the forward approach when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I always felt like I'd do better at sneaking around. Okay. So I'd probably go with that type of style if I were to have to pick something.
Like a super stealthy suit.
Yeah.
Okay. It is hard to pick. I'm not going to pick the Half-Life suit. I just find it hilarious that this laboratory suit is so awesome.
Well, it's got to be. You're doing super science.
Super science requires super suit. I get you.
By the way, Matt, I just put a couple of links to pictures in the chat thing in case you wanted to look.
Yep, I saw them.
And
anyway, continue.
It's hard to pick, really, because PAL armor is really cool and knightly. I'm not a big fan of the Halo suit because, I don't know, I don't like the helmet a lot, really. If I had to pick a suit, boiling it all down, as cool as Iron Man and War Machine is, I would probably pick, if I wanted to fly, I would go with one of them, but I would probably pick overall, in all honesty, the Crisis suit. Because I like the way it works, the concept of being basically a nano suit that can actually physically enhance you by blood doping you temporarily with, like, fake red blood cells. And enhance strength, and it can harden kind of like reactive armor to take bullet hits, and kind of stealthy as well. To me, it's one of those suits that, for being a super fake suit, makes the most sense when they explain it. And just to give a quick reference, the Halo suit, really, I'm not really a big fan of it. All you can tell from what it does from games and looking it up a little bit is it's this whole really cool, really expensive suit that creates a shield. That's it. It's like, so why do I need this whole suit that can have a shield emitter at that point? Because, you lose a shield and then you die, basically. So, yeah. That's why it never makes sense to me. Maybe I'm not seeing the whole big picture. But for me, my type of suit would be a Crisis suit. But if we're talking about flight, then it would be War Machine, specifically. Crisis suit is up at the top for me. So, Fearless Gamers, let us know in the comments.
What's your preferred super suit?
Let us know. We're curious.
Indeed.
And... so I think that is all for today. Thank you all for joining us. We will belittle the Stark Lord later for not daring to show up for no good reason.
Yeah, what a chump.
And that is all for right now. Until next time, Fearless Gamers, this is Matt the Vat.
Matt the Clown.
And James the Wildcard.
Take care.